Welcome back, and if you're new here, my name is Chels, and in this channel I talk about how to lose weight on a plant-based diet and get your habits in check and all that kind of thing. So recently I did a bit of a potato reset experiment where I ate pretty much only potatoes and non-starchy vegetables for 2 weeks, and I started to document this process over on Instagram, and people are asking me to do a bit of a recap about it, so here it is. So in this video I'm going to share exactly what I did and the results that I had from it, the weight that I lost, and how I found it since stopping the potato reset. So if you're curious about something like this and whether you think it's right for you, then keep listening. So mid-October, I put on my Instagram that I was doing the potato reset, and this is what I said about it. I said, I'm doing the potato reset. What is it? It's a short period of eating only potatoes and veggies to reset your taste buds and establish core habits. I'm doing it because my habits have been slipping over the lockdown. I was eating more processed food, and I wanted to create a new normal of prepping and eating lots of simple food. And it's the perfect time because sweet potatoes are in season, and I decided that I was going to do that for 2 weeks. And as soon as I put this out, I got a comment from someone, and the comment said, "Sounds a bit fatty for you. I'm surprised to see you doing something so silly." If you're surprised to see me doing silly things, then you probably don't know me very well, because I'm a bit of a silly one. But let's address this, because it does come across as something that is quite fatty. And really, the potato reset is actually something that helped me kickstart my weight loss in the very, very beginning. And I first heard about the potato reset from Jeannine Elder, who's otherwise known as Potato Wisdom. And if you want to look at her ebook, I'm going to link it in the description. So for me, I came from a dieting perspective of thinking that I had to eat a fully raw diet or do something really, really strict to lose weight. I was convinced that I couldn't eat cooked food and lose weight. So when I started doing the potato reset, it was a great time for me. I was eating pretty much just potatoes and non-starchy vegetables and some seasonings and things in there as well. And it taught me that I could lose weight eating potatoes. It taught me not to fear those kind of foods and to understand how calorie density worked. I also saw great results. I was able to initially lose, I think I did the potato reset for a month because I wanted to give it a really good go, and I lost about 8 pounds on that. And I'd never been able to lose weight that easy without going hungry before. There's also a guy that you might have heard of called Spudfit, or Andrew Taylor, and I had the privilege of doing a podcast interview of him, which you will also be able to find in the description, and he lost 120 pounds eating only potatoes for an entire year. So everyone who does something like this would have slightly different reasons for why they would do it. For me, the first time around, I really was looking for a more sustainable way to lose weight, and what it taught me was that I could lose weight like a normal person. All I needed to do was get into a calorie deficit, and then I was able to transition out of that to a much more balanced whole food plant-based diet, and I continued to lose weight, and I've now lost 40 pounds eating that way. So why would someone do something like the potato reset or Mary's Mini, as a lot of people have done as well, which is something really similar? People will mainly do this to start creating a habit of eating a ton of potatoes and eating those satisfying foods, and kind of shifting their baseline of their taste buds to being able to appreciate plainer food. And the idea is that when you move out of a potato reset, you're able to appreciate, more whole foods because you've reset your taste buds. And for me, I also wanted to reset my habits. So for me, the main reason that I see this as so different from a typical kind of like a fad diet is that it is teaching you to establish habits that you will want to cultivate for the rest of your life. Eating more potatoes, eating more whole foods, prepping up those kind of things, and being okay with plainer foods. Whereas the way that I see a fad diet is that there are habits that you establish in that, or there are unsustainable practices that you don't want to bring forward to the rest of your life. You want to do them for a short period of time. Well, I don't want to do them. I don't want to do keto or a lemon detox or a juice cleanse or anything like that ever. Those are not things that you want to establish as core habits and then bring forward to the rest of your sustainable journey. Whereas eating more potatoes is something that I wanted to start re-establishing. So I wanted to establish those key habits of prepping and cooking up potatoes again. I wanted to increase my consistency because they had been slipping. I was leading up to a really stressful time at the end of the month, and I didn't want to be thinking about food, and I was curious to see if I would lose fat or not, whether that would have an impact, mostly through consistency. And so because my main goal was creating some new core habits or re-establishing them, the guidelines that I set for myself was that I would eat potatoes and sweet potatoes and really any vegetable as well. I would still have condiments, I would still have salt and pepper, all of that kind of stuff, and I just wasn't eating fruits or sugar or legumes or processed foods or nuts and seeds, which I would typically eat on a whole foods plant-based diet. So the 2 weeks went past really quickly and I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to show you a little bit of that journey. Look at these beauties. You guys have been stealing all my potatoes. Can you not eat all my potatoes, please?
Okay, only one more.
No more. So it is dinner time, Saturday one. This is what I've got cooking. Yeah, and I use this curry powder, which I love. It's got onions, carrots, sweet potato, and I'm going to put these frozen ones in there too. So this is how the soup turned out. I just blended it with a little bit of soy milk. Looks like baby food. It's day 2, and this morning for breakfast I just had some sweet potato and a coffee. I had quite a lot of questions just asking on Instagram, like, how do you eat potato or like reheated potato when it's so dry? And I try to buy things that actually aren't that dry. Like I try to buy varieties of potatoes that are not dry or floury. I don't enjoy that either, but if I am going to eat something and it ends up being dry, then I'll pretty much always have it with a drink of water, or I really like eating my sweet potato with coffee, because I just take a few sips of coffee and then I take a few bites of sweet potato. But right now I'm gonna have lunch, and this is super simple. I've got some baked up potato, and I've just got some green beans and mustard and pepper on top. This will be lunch. Currently in a cafe, just had coffee with my sister, and of course I brought along some sweet potato. Look at that goodness. And yeah, like I'm really enjoying it so far. Really easy to do. I am eating some leftover twice baked sweet potato on a kiddie plate. Absolutely loving and enjoying this so far. And I just got back from the gym. I haven't been able to do 7 pull-ups for a long time. Like I've been stuck at like 4 or 5, like occasionally been able to do 6, and I went today, but today I was able to do 7. And I really think it's a combination of the fact that I went the middle of the day and I just eaten a sweet potato, the fact that I had a break because of lockdown, so I'm very well rested. I did not work out at all. But I also think that partly it was because my weight is down 1 kilo. So it's not that I've lost 1 kilo of fat, but that's 1 kilo off me that I wasn't having to lift up. So I got that 7th one, and it feels good. I felt really strong. So potato reset so far, 10 out of 10. So I made a kind of a tomatoey kind of mix with celery, carrots, and tin tomatoes, mushrooms, onion, and it's got olives in here, but I'm not going to be eating the olives for the reset. There's a bay leaf. And we've also got mashed potato here with some mashed parsnip. Yum. So it's the end of day 4, and I'm going to chop up some sweet potato and cook them in the oven tonight so that I've got them in the morning. And I've been doing this every night and it's working really well. So my nightly ritual. So they're done. I've just taken them out of the oven. People always ask me, how do I get my sweet potatoes really nice? I just cook them for a long time. Like, to me, they always have to pass the squish test. These are really hot. They need to be like mushy inside, almost overdone, and that gets them really creamy. And another thing that I always do if I'm cooking them at night is leave them in the oven overnight. So I'll cook them, and they're too hot to put in the fridge anyway. Like it's not good for the other food in your fridge if you're going to put them in there. So I'm okay with them cooling down overnight, and then first thing the next morning I put them in the fridge. It's perfect. So that's a little tip that I have. Hey, so it is day 6 of the potato reset. I'm not feeling great, to be honest. Like, we've been in lockdown for a little while, and this week was the first week back where gyms were open again. I only went 2 times, and my upper body is so sore. Yesterday I went and did legs, and I'm so freaking sore, and I feel a little bit under the weather, so my body is sore. I'm cold. It's really cold. We've had just like so much rain. It's been miserable. And I was like, oh, I really want to get pizza, or I really want to get sushi. So what I thought I'd do is cook up some twice baked sweet potato. I've already got them ready. Now I just need to like stuff it. Okay, so I've cooked up all I had in my fridge. I do not have many vegetables in my fridge because it's just kind of in between seasons at the moment. So I've got carrot, onion, and mushroom in there. And then I have these already baked up sweet potato. So let's make this thing. Some smoked paprika, veggie stock and pepper and some herbs, and it's kind of like this mashed mix now, which I'm going to put into these. This is what they look like, and you can really stuff it with any kind of veggies. I just used what I had, but there's a full recipe in another video that I have put up, which will be linked here.
Proclamations to be read in every village.
Hey, so it is day 8 of the potato reset, and on Saturday night, major spanner in the works because our oven just conked it. And I had all these sweet potatoes that I was cooking up in the oven, and it just decided to die. So Nick, you're gonna try and find a fix today, eh?
On a public holiday.
I have all these half-cooked sweet potato and haven't been able to use an oven, which I cook up my sweet potato every day in the oven. So that's difficult. So these are like my half cooked up sweet potato. They're like nowhere near cooked. I've started to oxidize a little bit. That's all right. I'm going to make something in the pressure cooker. So I've got all my potatoes and my old sweet potatoes in here, half cooked ones. I'm gonna make a marinade. For 4 minutes. Okay, so that did not turn out too well with the pressure cooker. Ended up, I didn't check the seal and it stuck a little bit. So it got a little bit burned on the bottom and it's a bit mushy, but it tastes great. So this is what we came up with, and yeah, I know it doesn't taste great. It doesn't look great, but it does taste yum. I've got 2 containers of that. And then for lunch today, I'm gonna have a whole lot of green beans, and I'm going to have this kumara potato mix, and it's a lot of food here. Like, I don't actually think I'll be able to finish this, and I'll just have it later as a snack if I want to. We had the oven break over the weekend, which was flipping annoying, but Nick amazingly arranged someone to get it fixed today, so it's fixed, and I've cooked up some sweet potato. So I'm gonna have some sweet potato, and I cooked up some buttercup for the fam, and I made pasta for them, spaghetti. And then I also made a bit of like a bolognese sauce again, and I'm gonna have that on top. Okay, here it is. I'm so excited for this. It got to the point where I kind of gave up documenting what I was doing, and it really became pretty normal. But what I found was that my weight did start to trend down pretty quickly after I started. Weight fluctuations are something that most people freak out about, and they're actually really, really normal. And I want to share why I had these big dips and why I had these big spikes as well. So initially I had big dips not because I was losing fat really quickly. Really, my meals were similar in terms of calories. It was just that I wasn't snacking late at night, and I wasn't snacking between meals, and my consistency was higher. But because I didn't need to snack between meals, and because after I had my potato dinner at night, I didn't feel the need to have a dessert, and I wasn't having desserts, it meant that the time between when I would weigh myself in the morning and when I had my last meal at night was greater than what it would normally be, which would mean that when I hopped on the scales the next day, I was lighter than I was on a regular day where I'm having dessert. I also ended up eating less food in terms of volume overall because potatoes and sweet potatoes are so satisfying. I didn't need to snack between them. And then you can see a lot of the time it spiked back up to pretty much base level. Base level for me being about 62.3 kilos. And when you are losing weight, this is what you want to look for. You want to look for a downward trend. It doesn't really matter what's happening on a day-to-day basis. So by the end of the 2 weeks, my weight had kind of stabilized at about 1.5 kilos less than what it was when I'd started, and I was fine with that. I was pleasantly surprised because I have wanted to get slightly leaner. I'm about 4 kilos heavier than I was a couple of years ago at my leanest, which wasn't super maintainable for me, so I'm not actively trying to get back to that. But I would like to be slightly leaner. I like to have a little bit of ab definition. So to go from something that felt like super sustainable and then see a bit of weight loss, it was nice. It was nice to see that. As soon as I finished, my weight went up again because my habits started to shift again. I was able to now have dessert at night. I was eating more snacks throughout the day. So they've gone up. My weight has gone up from the loss. That does not mean that I've gained fat. So where I'm sitting now, which is about 1 kilo or between 0.5 kilo and 1 kilo less than what I was at my baseline, that's probably realistically how much fat I actually lost in those 2 weeks, which again, for a plateau that's been over a year, not that I've really tried, but I was quite shocked at how easy that was. More importantly though, since doing that, I've got into the habit of prepping up my sweet potatoes every single night. I also bought an air fryer, which has been flippin' fantastic, and I highly recommend it. We just got the one from Kmart. I was also reminded of how satisfying potatoes are. Because I didn't need to snack between meals, I realized that I wanted to add more potato even when I'm eating now more rice and beans and like legumes and all of those kind of things. I'm going to add potatoes to those meals because I simply find potato keeps me fuller for longer. I also got out of the habit of having dessert. I told myself at the very beginning that I would be fine with having like a hot chocolate every night, and the hot chocolate that I use, I'll show you what that looks like. It's just a kind of a sugar-free hot chocolate, and I'll have that with soy milk. So I got used to that being enough of a dessert, and so I haven't gotten back into the habit of having dessert, and I haven't been eating processed food, and I've been really enjoying that. My habits have been more consistent. I feel more calm. I feel just really good mentally about the entire process. It also helped me deal with a really stressful time, and because I made that decision up front of I'm going to do the potato reset for the next couple of weeks, I didn't have decision fatigue in that emotional stressful time of what I was going to do with that. I'd already made a decision up front, and the more that you can do this with your habits when you're on a weight loss journey, or when you're trying to really change anything, making a decision before you get to that time of what you're going to do is going to mean that you have more mental clarity, that you have already thought about what's going to happen when you get into those situations. So when you do, it's not a shock, and you don't have to be like, well, what am I going to do now? Because you've already made that decision. James Clear talks about it in his book Atomic Habits, of having a if this, then that statement, and you can apply this to anything, and I recommend that you give it a go. And it's basically saying, if this situation occurs, I will do this. For example, if I feel the need to emotionally eat, I will let myself, but I will eat 1 potato first. That's an if this, then that statement, and it's incredibly powerful when you're trying to change ingrained habits. So overall, I found this was a really positive experience. The potato reset is not something that is designed to be done for the rest of your life. It is really important to be eating a balanced, whole foods, plant-based diet. And if you're wanting to know what that looks like, then check out nutritionfacts.org and Michael Greger's app, which is the Daily Dozen, and that's just making sure that you're having things like legumes and berries and fruits and vegetables every day. I definitely subscribe to that way of eating, and what I do to optimize that for fat loss is I keep things low in calorie density, and I eat a buttload of vegetables, and I have for the past 3 years. So that's how the potato reset went for me. I'd love to hear in the comments, have you done something like a potato reset or a Mary's Mini or anything like that? How did you find it? Are you interested in doing something like that? But before you go, I have to share with you this amazing hack that I have found for making potato toast, sweet potato toast. All you do is cook up sweet potato. I like to use the Japanese sweet potato because it holds its form. Cook it up in the oven and then smush it down, put it in an air fryer. Before I had an air fryer, I was doing this with a toaster, and then once it gets crispy, top it with things like avocado, tomato, Vegemite if you're in New Zealand, or Marmite if you're Australian, or you're in the UK. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then you probably are going to hate it. You could also use hummus, cucumber, anything like that, fresh basil, and it's like toast, but way more filling. And I've been absolutely addicted to this recently, so give it a go and let me know what you think. Okay, so that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you take anything away from this video, it's that potatoes and sweet potatoes are incredibly satisfying. You can eat weight, you can lose weight eating them, and they are a fantastic addition to your diet, whether you are trying to lose weight or not. They're just so incredibly good for you. And when you're thinking about how you want to move forward with a weight loss journey, think about how you can establish core habits that are going to help you succeed. And for me, that is cooking up sweet potato every day, because I absolutely adore it. And if you don't like sweet potato, white potato is fine. I just don't love it. Let me know what you thought of this video, and I will see you next week for another one. All right, bye. Gonna go eat some potatoes.
Yes. Ah! Aw. That'd be why my tongue is on fire.
That's so fancy.